All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the GDPI Booster Program by Road to Cat 99. And before I start explaining anything about the course, mentor, sessions, or process, I want you to understand one thing very clearly that if you are sitting here, if you are here in this session, that means you are already among a very small group of people, right? The cohort that clears CAT and that start preparing for GDPI or that start thinking for GDPI this early, that set of people forms a very little space in this entire population or in this entire set of candidates, right? So every year, lakhs of people prepare for CAT and very few reach at this stage, right? So first of all, congratulations to all of you for this. And this session is again not going to be a sales pitch. It would give you a lot of clarity around the complete process. And by the end of this session, I expect that you should know how GDPI actually works, how this course is designed, how you should use the next 1 to 2 months, and what you should start doing from the tomorrow morning, right? So we will discuss all the things. Let's move ahead. So there is a very stark difference between the GDPI preparation and between the CAT preparation, right? So the CAT preparation gives you a chance to appear for the B school interviews. But now your performance in the PI, performance in the GD, performance in the VAT, performance in answering the HR questions will decide you whether you are going to enter that college or not, right? Your score may determine some of the things, but definitely a high score or a low score do not mean anything as far as you are getting a call from that particular institute, right? So and the again major difference is CAT is an aptitude exam, right? Where one answer will have one correct answer and three wrong answers. But in the GDPI, humans will evaluate your performance, right? So you will be sitting in front of experienced panelists and who will be judging you based on, let's say, your thinking, your clarity, your honesty. And believe me, it is very hard to lie in front of professors who are sitting there. At least two or three professors will be there. All those professors are experienced, more experienced in taking interviews than taking classes, right? Every year they take interviews of thousands of candidates for different programs, right? So lying there is like a committing a sin, right? So you have to be very honest with your prep. And this phase might make you a little uncomfortable. First thing is because there is no fixed syllabus, right? For example, in quants we had a fixed syllabus, but here you have to read about everything around you. And let's say tomorrow morning, if something happens in any of the areas, right, in economics, in biology, in physics, you will have to understand what happens there, right? And all the questions that will be asked to you or that you are supposed to answer, right, all the questions will not have any right or wrong answers, right? So you will be judged based on how clearly you are communicating that, right? And what kind of answers, what kind of logics you are using to answer that, right? And third point, when it comes to third point, right, this entire space is going to be highly competitive, right? Everyone around you will be preparing for the GDPI. Everyone will around you will be using XYZ resources. And even when you go into the interview hall, you will find 50 other candidates who might have scored better than you. If you have scored 97, they might have scored 99.9 and still going or still dreaming for the same college. And then this stage might give you unnecessary pressure, or let's say a feeling that yeah, at this percentile might not be able to convert this college, right? And every time you will see the kind of resources that we are providing, you will feel that now I have very less time to cover these resources. And then we will also discuss key how you have to strategize your preparation and how you should prioritize all these resources, right? Fifth point is now you will have human to human interactions when it comes to GD, when it comes to let's say VAT, also when it comes to PI, when it comes to mock PIs, right? You will have interactions with the real humans, and you have to provide spontaneous answers to some of questions, right? For example, let's say you are talking about XYZ thing, and I don't have any idea about what you are talking. But at the end of your answer, I can definitely ask why, when, how, right? And if you are not confident about what you are saying, right, then you will be judged based on that as well, right? Your answer might be 100% correct, but if you don't know why, if you don't know how that thing happened, if you don't know what's your contribution in that, let's say, group project, right? Again, you will be judged, no matter how clear you are about your group project, right? So now I also want to debunk some of the myths, right, that are there around this GDPI part, right? So first thing is, once you are inside the interview room, right, your percentile, your past is just a background noise, right? Interviewers really do not judge, because see, they are of the age of 50, or some of the interviewers might be 50 plus, and they are very rich in their experience. So they will not judge you based on your score, because they have seen enough candidates. For example, let's say for you, 99.9 percentile must be a very big achievement, right? But for IIM Ahmedabad, or for IIM Bangalore, or for IIM Calcutta, right? Every 1 out of 20 or 10 candidates they interview might have same score, right? So you might not be unique to them in terms of score. And even if you are there with a low score, then also they will not judge you based on your score. If they had to do that, right, they would have simply rejected you at the first call only, right? So this is a biggest myth, or let's say this is in the minds of a lot of aspirants ki yaar mera score low hai, now I have to score these many marks to convert the PI, right? So obviously the CS will work on its own way, but your score really do not determine your interview performance or your chances of convert, right? Second thing is, you must know everything, right? So humanly this is not possible to cover each and everything, to know why, when, how of all the things that are around you. So you have to prioritize which are important and which are less important, right? For example, if I ask you something about Dhurandhar movie, and really you have not watched that movie, so as a panel, as a mentor, I cannot expect you to know who is Hamza Ali Khan or who is XYZ person, because you have not watched that movie, right? But if I start talking about something which is of national importance, right? So you should know some things around that. If I start asking questions on the pollution, on the rising AQI levels, right? As a panel, as a mentor, I expect you to know some things around that, right? So over the time, you should have that skill कि यार कौन सी चीज ज्यादा मैटर करती है, and which are the things which matter less to me as well as to the panel as well. ऐसा नहीं है, if they ask you something which is very strange or weird, and if you are not able to answer that perfectly, first thing is that they are not looking for the perfect answers, they are looking for the logic. And when they ask some question, they have some things in mind, right? And those things are some of the things which you may not realize at that moment कि यार ये बंदा is thinking से he is asking this stuff, right? So the panel, the interviewers might want to play with your feelings, and just because of that they might start asking you weird answers or weird questions, right? And in case of that, it's not always good to be nervous or to focus on the hardcore facts, right? If you answer that logically, or if you simply say no politely, right, it is understood in this interview stage that there will be some things which candidates do not know, right? For example, let's say this session will be of 90 minutes, right? And if you ask me some questions in between, and if I fail to answer those questions, right, obviously at the end of 90 minutes, you will not directly reject me or degrade me or say something bad about me just because I failed to answer two questions, right? You will judge me based on the entire session. And this also happens in the interview as well, right? It's okay to not answer two questions, it's okay to not answer three questions, but then it also matters what kind of questions those are. For example, if you are coming from a BBA background, BCom background, and still you are not clear why do you want to do an MBA, right? Then that means you lack clarity or you are not prepared well, right? Fourth point is, on a lot of students focus too much on the material part, right? They start collecting material, they feel that as long as they are cramming each and everything that is mentioned in the material, it is more than enough, right? So it does not work like that. You have to be smart enough, right? And you have to practice a lot of mock PIs, right? And I'm pretty sure each one of us is very good at some things, and each one of us lacks some kind of skills, or jahan pe we need some kind of help from our mentors, right? Maybe in type of communication, maybe in type of our tone, maybe in type of our ideas, right? Some of us are very extreme, right? If we feel that pollution should not be there, you will start putting out ideas like banning the entire factory, closing the entire Delhi for 2 days. And believe me, these are some of the ideas which You may feel at this point of time that you are not going to speak all this kind of thing, but when someone asks you this question and expects an answer within 1 or 2 seconds, right, or within 5 seconds, most probably or a lot of times student end up saying these kind of things and then have regret later. And the only reason why this happens because you have not practiced enough number of mock PIs with your mentor, or let's say you have not practiced enough number of stress interviews as well, right? So your knowledge always matters, right? But clarity should also be there, right? Because in interviews you cannot even predict that questions that panel is going to ask will be related to your profile or not. Sometimes it has also been seen that the questions they ask might come from somewhere else, right? For example, if you are coming from an English honors background, you might have to face some questions from economics, you might have to face some questions from geography, right? And let's say if you're an engineer, still they can ask you some questions from economics, right? So at that point of time, it is not, the knowledge will not only help you, right? Even if you do not have knowledge but you have some clarity, you have some sense of how economics work, right? Or let's say how the India as a economy is performing at a global level, still that will give you some brownie points, because panel might not think that you have very deep or very core knowledge about the economics, but in that kind of situation, if you end up saying very good, that will surely help you to get good brownie points as well. Am I clear? All right, just confirm in the chat, people. Cool. All right. So I'm presenting with two kind of persons, right? And the question asked to both of them is, why do you want to do an MBA? Right? So the first person has a stellar profile, right? He's very good in academics part. And then there is a second person, right, whose profile is not that good when it comes to academics, but not that bad as well. But both the persons have received the same call, let's say at a different percentile, maybe, right? So now just go through these two answers. First given by the person who has a good profile, and the second given by a person who has an average profile, right? So just tell me in the chat which answer makes more sense as per the question asked. I will give you 2 minutes to read this. Just read it and let me know. Okay, so someone started drawing something. Right? So most of you agree that the answer given by the person who has an average profile is much, much better as per the question mentioned, right? But if I compare the profile of both the candidates, right, you may agree that this person might have a better profile compared to this person, right? But when it comes to the relevant answers, right, you can clearly see the difference. And that is exactly where a lot of students go wrong, right? Because either they don't understand the question clearly, or maybe they understand the question clearly, but they have not realized over time that they have this kind of weakness where they start answering about their profile or about XYZ things when the things are not asked by the panelists, right? So in this question, the panelist asked, why do you want to do an MBA? Right? So there is no point in mentioning that I have consistently performed well and my CGPA is this, my percentage is this, and I am interested in learning new concepts, right? As a panel, as a professor with 30 years of experience, I don't want to listen in which field you are interested. I just simply asked you, why do you want to do MBA, right? So this person accepted that my profile is average, right? But my professional experiences are something which gave me more clarity about where I lack and where I have to improve upon, right? So this person is selling the story, right, which is relevant. This person is also selling the story, right? But this story is not relevant. This story might have worked out when you ask, tell me about yourself, or tell me about your academics, tell me about your life. Maybe then you can start that my life, or starting from childhood, I've been very good at academics and I've been a topper and all that stuff, right? But when you are asked such kind of questions, why MBA, or why should I select you, why should I reject you, then definitely you should not go with this kind of stuff, right? All right. All right. So just giving you a taste of how the next 7 to 8 weeks will look like, right? Most probably you will start getting interview calls from 5th of January. 5th of January is the date when IIM Ahmedabad released the calls last year, right? And then or maybe I'm Lucknow, and then after 2 days, I am Lucknow or Ahmedabad release the interview calls, right? So some IIMs, some B schools release the interview calls as well as interview dates, but then most of the IIMs first release the interview calls, and after some time they release the interview dates, right? So as soon as you get the interview calls, in 1 or 2 days, you will get a portal where you can log in and you have to fill 4 or 5 basic HR questions, which we have already allotted to all of you in the task one mentioned on your portal, right? And then from 12th to 20th of Jan, you will start getting interview dates for different colleges along with the venue, right? Then generally the interview starts from 1st February and it goes on till 31st of March, right? The people who have interview in the first week of February, or in the first 10 days of February, I think they are on the little unlucky side, maybe not, right? But there is a chance that your dream college interview can come in the first week of February, right? So you should be prepared according to that timeline, right? And then the result starts coming from 5th of April or 10th of April onwards, and then in the next 10 to 20 days, everyone release their final results, final admits. Understood? So this is of little less relevance, right? So these are the four major components when it comes to your GDPI preparation, right? And this is where everything finally comes together, right? Personal interviews form the biggest part, the biggest chunk of your entire profile analysis or entire GDPI, because you spend a lot of time with the uh, professors, right? A lot of interviews go on for 30 minutes, 60 minutes, as well as 70 minutes as well, right? But I have seen people getting rejected after 60 minutes of interview. So again, the time or something do not have any relation with the final result, right? Then comes the VAT, SOP, HR questions. They are different ways of testing the same thing, that is your clarity of thought, right? For example, if I just take an example of how you should write the VAT, right? So the first two things that should come to your mind first is that as an adult, right, you should not sound like a class 10th boy, right? Because if I give you a general topic for VAT, right, everyone will end up filling up the entire page in the next 20 minutes, right? But what matters is how you are structuring your thoughts and what kind of inputs you are giving, right? So when some professor or when some person reads your VAT, it should not sound like you are just filling up the space, right? So in those kind of stuff, VAT, SOP, HR questions, your clarity of thought matters a lot. And again, these things can be improved, right? So third comes the group discussion. And in the group discussion, right, again, we will discuss a lot when we have another live session by alumni, right, about the group discussions. But again, in the group discussion, it is not about who speaks the most, right? It is also about how you are answering, how you are navigating the discussion, how you are starting the discussion, how you are concluding the discussion, right? And then comes the fourth point, which is stress interviews, right? So this is one of the things which I want all of you to experience before you step into the final interview phase, right? Because sometimes what has been seen is that you go for your best call, and then interviewers intentionally decide you to put a lot of stress on you, and then at that moment you break and you cannot answer whatever you have prepared for, right? Just because there is a lot of stress, right? So prepare for stress interviews way ahead, right? And go with the full-fledged preparation with no stone unturned, right? And stress interviews is just to test out your comfort zone, right? They will ask you simple things, but in a different manner, but in a different tone, right? So if your preparation ignores even one of these, right, you will feel incomplete inside the interview room. And believe me, when you are going for your final interview, actual interview, your confidence matters a lot. Now, confidence comes from how many mocks have you practiced, and how much material have you covered, and how much clarity do you have, and how much hold you have over the GK or the current affairs or the static GK or the things around you, right? So all these matter a lot, and this will give you enough confidence, right, to beat the randomness in the interview. So this is first thing, right? So let's say when you start your GDPA preparation, some of you might have already enrolled with us and have started these things already. But let me take a situation where you are preparing on your own, or where you are preparing, let's say after 10 days. So this should be your first point of starting, right? So this should be your first point of starting your GDPA prep, right? So not with the current affairs, not with mock interviews, not with HR answers, right? Preparation begins with knowing more about yourself, right? So first simply ask, right, who are you, right? For example, if I'm Pallav Goyal, right? So even just my complete name has a lot of hidden clues for the interviewers, right? What is the meaning of Pallav, right? To which community I belong? What is the history of that community, right? And maybe there might be 100 other questions related to my name, my religion, my city, importance of my city, history of my city, importance of my state, right? So now it may feel weird if I ask you who is the governor of your state, or who is the education minister of your state, right? But when you go to the interview, it is expected from you here, if you are coming from Rajasthan, right, and you don't even know who is the governor of your of Rajasthan, who is the education minister of Rajasthan, that means you are not socially aware about all the things that are around you, right? Your profile is very strong academically, but you don't know education minister of your state, right? Then let's say if the education is not that good in your state, how as a citizen you will make someone accountable, because you don't even know the identity of that person, right? So if you just want to start your preparation, you can easily start with the Wikipedia and with your family, right? What type of business your father do? For example, if my father has a shop of clothing, right? Or let's say if my father has a shop of electronics, right? So I should know some things related to that industry. It should not be limited to just my shop, right? Maybe they might ask you to guesstimate how many electronic shops are there in Delhi, or what is the size of this industry, right? Or how this industry has been performing or changing lives. And sometimes the question can be as behavioral as it can be, right? How electronic as an industry impacts the social life, or how it helps the poor. So at that point of time, you really don't need to know a lot of current affairs. Really don't need to search or go through a lot of reports, right? Those are the kind of questions which you have to answer spontaneously. And for that, your clarity, your openness, right, and your practice will help you a lot. So for this, divide your the entire life into four phases. First is childhood, then teenage years, then adulthood, and then let's say future aspirations, right? And then think about what actually shaped you, right? Where did you born, right? And then how was your schooling, right? What kind of person you were, and then how you made transition from class 10th to 11th and 12th. What subject did you choose? And when you start exploring all these things, right, you will start getting answers to a lot of stuff, which again can be asked in the interview. Why you selected commerce, right? Did you like it? Then from coming from the science background in class 11th and 12th, why you opted for BCom, or why you opted for economic honors, right? You will start getting answers to all these things, right? And then start knowing your institutes very well. For example, in my case, my school name is Swami Keshwanand Memorial Public School. So as soon as I say that I come from a school whose name is SKM Public School, So interviewers might get curious to know about SKM, right? What it stands for. Then who is Swami Keshwanand, right? Why your school is named after that? What that person did for you, right? And then same, I graduated from Hindu college, right? So this has been asked in IIM Indore interview that when your college was founded, what is the mission, what is the vision of college, right? And I was completely blank because I did not even go through my college website, and I did not practice a lot of mock interviews before my IIM Indore interview. And they asked me, right, what's the mission of Hindu college? And if I ask you, a lot of you, right, about your UG institute, what's the mission or vision of that? Right? And there are two things. One is mission and one is vision. Both the things are mentioned on the website of most of the institutes, right? So when you enter the institute, just reimagine the entire scenario. What happened in first sem? What happened in second sem? Right? In how many societies did you join? In what events did you take part? Right? And then you start getting questions automatically in your head. And those are the kind of stuff which mentors can review definitely, right? But they cannot help you prepare answers for let's say a question about your society, right? What was your contribution in that group project, right? What are the different kinds of project that you did during your college time, right? What are the kind of social activities you did, right? A lot of people might have been attached to some kind of NGOs. But do you know about the history of those NGOs? Right? What's the mission of those NGOs? And then if interviewers ask you mission, you cannot sound too general. You cannot say कि यार वो तो help करते हैं गरीब लोगों में कपड़े बांट देते हैं. That is not mission. Mission is something with which that organization or on which premises that organization got built. And after that, the work started, right? Then you should definitely know what kind of work acts, what kind of internships do you have, the history of those companies, the history of those organizations. For example, I worked at ICICI Bank, right? There were a lot of scandals, scams related to the ICICI Bank. I read all about that. And you can definitely go to the Wikipedia. You will find all the things related to your company. You can go to ChatGPT nowadays. ChatGPT will also answer a lot of things, right? And we have built our own MBA, this AI bot, right? Where you can interact in case you have free time to ask some questions, right? And then definitely you should know your hobbies, interests, extracurriculars, right? Or co-curricular activities, right? A lot of students are not yet clear about their hobbies, about their interests, about which co-curricular activities they have participated in, right? So just start thinking about that. This process takes 5 to 7 days, but definitely after 7 days, you will be ready with your answers, then get it reviewed by the mentors, right? Any doubts so far? Right. So I think I have mentioned most of these things, right? For example, let's say college life. Right. Okay. Right. So when it comes to the college life, you might have these kind of questions, right? Reason for joining XYZ stream. What you did during those 4, 5, 3 years that you've spent, right? You should have thorough knowledge of your projects, good understanding of core subjects or topics, right? So this point is very important, right? Good understanding of core subjects and topics. For example, let's say you say that I am a mechanical engineer or I am a BBA graduate. Now, panel do not know what are the different kinds of topics or subjects that you have covered. They will simply ask some of the most famous concepts related to your subjects or related to your UG stream. And sometimes it may happen because the curriculum is very different in all the colleges, all the institutes. It may happen that the questions they ask you, you might not have read about that, right? So before going to the interview, please also search about the hot topics related to your stream, right? For example, let's say if you are coming from a BCom background, right? I don't know if you have studied enough finance or not, or if you like the finance as a subject or not, but some basics of finance is definitely, some basics of economics is definitely expected from you, irrespective of how much the college has given you, right? So definitely you should know history and importance of your institute. Third thing is, again, the most important, go through your mark sheet, because sometimes the interviewers ask you to hand over a mark sheet of you, right? And then they may ask you some things which feels weird to them, right? For example, if you have scored pretty well in some subject, or if you have scored pretty bad in some subject, they may ask questions related to that. Or if there is a subject, for example, let's say if you're doing BCom, but there is a subject related to some IT, right? And you have scored decently, or let's say irrespective of your score, right? It may feel little different in your mark sheet that what IT is doing. So they can ask stuff related to that as well. Or they may simply ask, can you explain what all have you studied? The moment you start again listing down the topics, what have you studied in IT as a BCom graduate, then again, if you say something, you should know about it, right? Because I can again pick some of the things from whatever you say, right? So this is how you can navigate your interview as well, right? Because the interviewers and you for them, they for you, right? You both are strangers to each other. The moment you start having conversation, they will keep building on the conversation around the things which you are saying, or maybe they can introduce some new topics as well, right? Same goes for the work ex part, right? If you have some work ex, you should definitely know why that company, why you have chosen that company, why you have chosen that role, right? How much have you contributed, what is your role in the organization, right? So be aware about all these things. Then comes the most famous, most generic question, I would say most overused question, that is why MBA, right? And believe me, panels do judge you based on this as well, right? Because the moment you start speaking, after 30 seconds, as a mentor, as a panel, I can realize how much have you practiced this answer, right? If you speak very well, maybe I might not give you brownie points. But if you speak not that well, if you speak poorly, right, I will definitely judge you because you are not prepared. You are not serious, right? Right. So in these kind of questions, right, avoid flattery, avoid brand worship, avoid generic statements, right? So I have been going through FMS SOP, right? One student has written a lot of things around FMS. FMS has good faculties, placements, good campus, right? First thing is it does not have good campus. Second is why you are telling me I am the professor of that institute, why you are speaking a lot of things around FMS, why you are talking that FMS is this, FMS is that. I'm asking you about why do you want to do an MBA? And then maybe as a closing statement, you can tell me how good my institute is. But do you really think that the panel is interested in listening how good I am Ahmedabad is? No, right? Even if you skip that part, right, it's completely okay. But first focus on what is to be prioritized, right? And let's say if I ask you why MBA, and if you start speaking, IIM Ahmedabad is known for its placements, for its global rankings, and this and that, right? Then maybe I will give you another chance. I will ask you something else. But let's say again you answer in the same manner for next 2 to 3 questions. I will definitely say, ki, yaar, this is not the kind of candidate I want in my institute, right? Maybe I am Bangalore can take him, maybe I am Calcutta can take him, but no, it is he is not suitable for my institute, right? And I'm not questioning your identity, your personality. I am just questioning as a mentor ki you were not well prepared. If you had well prepared in that situation, you would have answered much better. It's just that because you did not make an effort to get your answers reviewed by the mentors, and that's where you lost your call. And the the worst part is that after the interview, right, you will not get your result, right? You will get your results after 2 months. So if after the interview I feel that I have answered each and every question, right, and then I will do same for I am Bangalore, I will answer each and every question, I will do same for I am Calcutta, but after 2 months I will realize that all three institutes rejected me. And in that process you will never be able to find your mistakes because you are not taking enough number of sessions with mentors, right? So this is where mentors or third person will come into the place, right? And simple funda for this is, let's say when you are preparing for tell me about yourself, right, just call one of your friends, just call to your dad, just call to your mom, just call to your siblings, and tell them that your answer, and ask them to find flaws, to find errors, right, to find areas of improvement. They will definitely tell you, यार यहाँ पे you were sounding like a robot, यहाँ पे you were not clear, यहाँ पर as a person I did not understand. A lot of things happened with me as well. right? My answers looked very good on the paper, but when I presented them to a third person, sometimes I got this review that I was not clear when you were mentioning your journey in your UG college. I was not clear when you were mentioning the fest that you handled. I was not clear when you were claiming that you raised 1 CR of funds, right? So you have to be clear, right? Along with the facts, along, because see, you have to understand this point that the second person, the third person do not have any idea about how your college life was or what kind of personality you have, right? So sometimes you have to explain them in the most simplest manner, right? जब तक दोनों साइड से बातें क्लियर है, तब तक the conversation will make sense. If you start bringing in the fancy terms which they don't understand, or if you start uh, playing super smart, right, in front of the panel, right, then they may attack you from different angles, right? If you start bluffing, then again they may attack you from different angles, right? So this is just one thing that I want to highlight because there are a lot of course students here, right? So this is how the current course structure looks like over the course of next 3 to 4 weeks. A lot of things are going to be added, right? But let me just give you an overview. First is that these are the first two tabs which you should definitely cover as a student, right? And we will keep adding the material, right? First is intro to the course, where uh, in the first lesson you will find a detailed document which has all the links, which has all the advice, and which has detailed process layout, right? And in the second tab as well, you have complete process on how to book your slot. The process is very simple. There is one slot booking sheet. You will get your student id is mentioned in that sheet. Every day, lot of mentors, we have 50 plus mentors, lot of mentors will release their slots every day, right? And you can book your slot with any of the mentors, right? You are not fixed with one mentor, you are not fixed with two mentors, you have access to 50 plus mentors, right? In case, let's say you like one mentor, or you want to have a specific session with one mentor, right? And in case that mentor is not releasing the slot for that particular day, you can just tell me, or you can just message that mentor and request to release the slot on this date, and just confirm a time with that mentor, right? So the mentor will release the slot, and then as soon as he releases the slot, you can put your name. It is on first come first serve basis, but definitely if you want some specific slot, we can help you arrange that as well, right? And then so these first 7 to 8 tabs are of live sessions. So we will have all the live sessions related to GDPI, VAT, SOP, extempore will be put here. All the sessions related to domain will be put under this tab. All the sessions related to institute specific, because let's say after 15 days you will get a form from IIM Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, Lucknow. We will have very short sessions about how to fill the forms, right? So all those sessions will be here, right? Then we will have important sessions on current affairs, history, politics, budget, economics, statistics, puzzles. All the sessions will be put here. Then all the domain prep material, all the current affair material, all the UG prep material, HR questions, past PI transcripts, past PI books by different IIMs. Then CV builder sessions will start once we get over this GDPI round, right? This is mainly relevant for your upcoming MBA journey, right? Then we will have a lot of sessions by case study on case studies and guesstimate, right? Most of these sessions will be taken by the students who have worked in McKinsey, Bain, or BCG, right? Then we will have a lot of sessions on puzzles because a lot of institutes ask you this kind of thing. And then we will have good numbers of session on ace your communication skills, right? Because I know a lot of students who have a fear, or who come from a background where their communication skill is not that strong, right? So we will have session on that as well, right? So again, this is the first tab. This is the document that you have to go through. Then this orientation session is the one which we are taking right now, right? Then you will get all links or everything here. And then this is the snapshot of the two groups that we have made. First is the announcement group, where all the major announcements will be announced, and I can only send the message here. You cannot chat here. Then this is discussion group, right? In the discussion group, you can chat about anything, whatever you want. And then in the discussion group, we will have different 9 to 10 subgroups for everything, right? So here you can definitely chat. And if you are watching this session and already enrolled, please turn on the notification of Telegram and please pin all these groups, right? The two groups must be pinned so that you don't miss any notification, because in the upcoming days, we will have back-to-back sessions on everything. Right. So this is what I want to show you. So this is the snapshot of subgroups we have, and we will keep making new subgroups. So let's say this is the first group where you can request your slot with some particular mentor in case the slots are not released. This is daily current affair discussion, which takes place at 10 p.m. every day, where we discuss the hot topics. And I think if we start practicing these things every day, right, at the end of 1 month, you will have a complete hold over 30 topics, because at the end of the session we will give you a detailed document summary of the discussion. And this is a slot booking sheet. Here you can find your student ID. This is the part where you have to book your slot, and this is something where you have to fill your details. And this is the mentor's profile. So you will get this mentor profile. So let's say if Aditya Monga, right? Let's say Aditya Monga release the slot, right? So what I have to do, in case I am interested to see that, I will just find Aditya Monga here. Then I can read about his college, his academic stream, his companies, and his, let's say, Telegram ID if relevant. Right. So this is how it may help you. Many of the times it is suggested to go with the random person for the interview. But let's say if you want your form, or if you want your SOP or something to be reviewed, let's say if I have IIM Ahmedabad call, maybe I can prefer this Aditya Monga, because he is from IIM Ahmedabad. He's a BBA graduate. He has worked in Bain and McKinsey. Right. So we release this kind of thing. Right. Just wait a second. Yeah. Right. So this is how you will be allocated to a mentor, right? First is as soon as you enroll, right? So this is a snapshot of slot booking sheet. Here the mentors will fill their slots, and against that you have to fill your GDPI ID, email, purpose, and that means you have booked the slot with them, right? If you want to cancel your slot, you have to inform us at least 3 hours in advance, right? And if you need a session with a specific mentor or at a preferred time, simply request it on Telegram. So these are the two main important things. First is DM me on Telegram as soon as you enroll with your profile and with the expected calls, right? You will be assigned a personal mentor based on your top calls. So let's say if your top call is IIM Indore, or if you are expecting call from IIM Indore, we will create your WhatsApp group with with the mentor from IIM Indore, and with you and me in that same group. The purpose of this WhatsApp group is to have short chit chat with your mentor time to time. Let's say you want to ask some things around I am Indore. If you want to ask some good things because you want to answer why I am Indore, right? So then maybe over text, over WhatsApp, over 5 minute short call, you can just connect with that mentor and clear your query. But in lot of institutes, you are fixed with one mentor, right? But here this is just a very small part, right? But this is the bigger picture. You are not restricted to a single mentor. You may book sessions with any mentor as slots are released. Your identity within the program will be your student ID, not your calls. Let's say my best call is I am Indore, but I want my forms, I want my interviews to be taken by people from I am Ahmedabad, Bangalore, and Calcutta only. So you can book sessions with them as well. There is no restriction to that as well, right? But for the interviews, I will suggest to go with the random persons, even if they are not from your background, even if they do not feel whatever criteria you have in mind. But for the interviews, go with the random person. For the HR or SOP part, go with your allocated mentor, right? So if you have two SOP or HR review with the same mentor, at least they will have some idea about your profile already, right? Again, this is the same thing. So let's ignore this. All right. So this is the number of live sessions which we have planned so far, right? But I'm pretty sure this list keeps going on, right? As we move forward, there will be a lot of requests कि sir मुझे इस पे भी session चाहिए. I want session on this. I want session on that. So we will keep doing the sessions almost on a daily basis, or 3 sessions in a week. Right. For example, this is the first session. Then you will have a session on how to write a perfect VET. Then you will have a session on how to SPI. Then you will have a session on crack GDs, right? Then you will have a session on how to tackle such kind of questions, right? You will have a session on SPJIMR. Then you will have a live session on current affairs. And all these are live sessions, right? Then marketing, finance, UG subjects, consulting, how to do good communication, then case studies, guesstimates, current affairs again, then Indian politics, history, economics, basics of economics, then current affair again, then puzzles, then statistics, then microeconomics, macro. Because why I'm including micro, macro, and not physics? Because when you go to the MBA, right? This knowledge, this kind of knowledge will always give you brownie points if you are coming from a background where this kind of knowledge is not expected from you. Then operations, then prodman, and then let's say the last would be the Indian budget, right? The budget will be released around 1st or 2nd Feb. So we will have mega session on that as well. Right. Hmm. So we have covered the PI part. We have understood what you should read about yourself, right? Now let's go to the next bigger thing, which is the current affairs plus static GK. Again, forms a bigger part of your preparation, right? So the point is, if you are unable to answer some things related to hot topics, it may impact the panel's perception about you, right? So for this, you should definitely start building on your HR questions first. And second is begin reading all the compendiums provided to you on the portal, right? And maintain a Word document for everything, right? When I was preparing, I had 7 Word documents to document whatever I am going through on a daily basis. Because once you read something, let's say once you cover the compendium from January to March, you should not go through those compendiums again and again. Because in those compendiums, some things may be related to you, or some things may be of more importance, some things may be of less importance. So whatever facts, whatever things you feel that you should note or that you should revise on a timely basis, just copy paste that in separate Word document. Same goes with your HR questions, same goes with your UG subjects, right? So if you're, let's say if I'm going through the all the concepts of economics, I will definitely note some of the hard concepts or some of the concepts which are hard to remember, right? So that every time I revise the economics, I don't have to go through all this hassle. Then a static GK PDF will also be shared. Then focus especially on static GK related to your surrounding and background, right? So a lot of times people go on finding out the random things or cramming the random things, but prioritize the things which matter the most, right? So static GK around your state, around your community, around yourself, and all that stuff, right? And develop a habit of reading the newspaper for at least, let's say, 20-30 minutes daily, and follow relevant YouTube channels. So this is one channel, that is Study IQ, right? So they keep on releasing 7-8 videos on a daily basis on the latest current affairs, right? So go through all those videos on a daily basis, make notes, and ensure active participation in the daily live current affair discussion, which I already told you will take place in the Telegram, right? And this is a snapshot of the channels that I used to watch regularly, right? Because if you go through all these channels, right, they hardly release 1 or 2 videos in a month, right? So it is very easy from these channels to see what are the most relevant topics. Now at this point, maybe some of these channels might have turned into putting out controversial stuff or some XYZ unrelated stuff. You can ignore that, but most of the time I feel they are relevant, or at least they give you different kind of opinions, right? For example, opinion of Dhruv Rathi might be very different from what Akshat Srivastava or what Abhihan New told, right? But still, you should hear the two sides of the same story, right? And again, if you go to the print YouTube channel, there is one person, I forgot him. He's little old, but he's from Haryana, right? Rohtak, I think. So he puts out a great analysis, right? So he puts out a great analysis. Shekhar, yes, I think Shekhar. He's little bald, I think. Right, Shekhar, yeah. So that's the point, right? So with the help of just 10 to 15 videos from a channel, you will be able to go through all the hot topics of last 1 year, right? But generally current affairs which is asked in the interviews come from the month of December to, let's say, February, right? These months are highly important. Right. Coming on to the academics, revise all the core subjects, review your mark sheets carefully, because I think I have already mentioned, find out the weird things, find out the new things, right? And do not expect questions to be limited to your syllabus, because panel know what comes or what makes part of BBA, what makes part of mechanical engineering, but they really don't know what your curriculum, what your teacher has taught you, right? So freshers should identify 3-4 subjects which in which they are most confident, right? So sometimes this question also comes up, that tell me your 3-4 subjects which you like the most, right? So definitely you should have something in mind. And maybe as a panel, I may ask you, tell me 2 subjects which you hate. And then I may not ask some questions related to that, but I will definitely ask the reason. And you cannot say, yaar, wo subjects both hard hai, that's why I hate that subject, right? Again, you have to prepare little smart there, right? The UG questions compendium is again available on the portal, and the people who have some work ex, 1 year, 2 year, I mean say, if you have just 1 year of work ex, or let's say not more than 1.5 years of work ex, treat yourself as a fresher. But if you have work ex of more than 1.5 year, still treat yourself as a fresher for the academics part, right? High probability that if you have a work ex of more than 1.5 years, you will not be asked a lot of academic concepts. But again, it has been seen that a candidate goes in with the 3 years of work ex, and still some relevant topics, some core topics are asked to him, right? So you should definitely be prepared for these things, right? And believe me, if you are clear in your mind about these things, right, you will eventually end up preparing as well, right? Because even if you have 3 years of work ex, covering major topics will not take a lot of time. And in interview, let's say if they ask something which you have not prepared, you can definitely say that, sir, I don't remember these things, but I have a good knowledge over this subject, which because this is a subject which I like the most, which I love the most, right? And maybe then they may test out you on that particular subject. Then it should be fine for you, right? Now coming on to the hobbies and the interest part, right? To be very honest, when I first entered into this stage, right, I was literally shocked to see that people have different level of interest. When someone says they love chess, right, they literally mean that, right? They have some XYZ rank on some app or on some website, which is highly relevant, right? And then there are people who love dancing, who love skating, who do a lot of things in that area, right? But as a fresher, I did not have a lot of things. And the things that I had on my profile was very generic, right? Let's say my interest is contributing to the NGOs. My interest is creating content, which is turning out to be generic in this age. But now the point is how you are playing with that. For example, when I mentioned that I am attached, or I have worked in NGO, right? I was very clear that I have participated, or I have worked with the Rajasthan government. I worked with the Delhi government, and I knew that the moment I mentioned I worked with the Delhi government, they will definitely ask me questions related to that. And that's how I played in the interviews. I worked in the with the Delhi government. I helped 500 plus students to get enrolled in the free school, right? To get enrolled in the schools at free of cost. Then they may definitely ask what kind of scheme it was, who initiated that, and I was ready for that, right? But again, when you are saying something, be prepared for that. If I say that I'm a content creator, what type of creator you are, what is going in the industry, what is the valuation of the industry, why these people are so rich, how this monetization cycle works. Relevant questions will be there, but deeper answers can be expected from you. So avoid bluffing about your personal interest. And believe me, you don't have to be extraordinary here. Your interest can be as simple as it gets, right? But when you are saying something, it should have meaning attached to it. It should reflect your contribution, your actual interest in that. If you have interest in cooking, perfect. Now start preparing some things around the cooking. Start getting more knowledge about the cooking, right? For example, if my mom loves cooking, then I cannot expect her to answer each and every question asked by the panel, right? But as a student, if you love cooking, I think you should do more research about the different kinds of cooking or about the process and this and that, because now this is the expected stuff. And when the stuff is expected so clearly, I think we all should prepare for that. Right? For example, a lot of students end up saying, I love cricket. Why do you love cricket? Because I play that. Because I have been playing that since ages, right? Where do you play that? In the streets. With whom? With my chuddy buddy friends. So then questions can come. Do you know what is yo-yo test? Do you know what is the weight of cricket ball? Right? What is the size of a cricket stadium? Why this Motera Stadium name changed to Narendra Modi? Right? Maybe that specific you might not know, but this is definitely expected. Weight of a cricket ball, radius of basketball. And this has been seen in a lot of interview transcripts that they do expect you this kind of knowledge in the hobbies part. Not in every area, right? But definitely in the hobbies and interest part. Right. Then comes the domain specific knowledge. Why this is important, let's understand. Most of the time, the generic answer, okay, let me ask you a question. If I ask you right now, uh, in which field you are going to do your MBA, or in which specialization you are going to do your MBA, tell me. Just type in the chat box. Let's say you are sitting in an interview, right? All right. Seems like a good number of students are clear about this. But generally, the most generic answer is I will explore the subjects in the first year of MBA, right? I will explore subjects in the first year of MBA, and then I will decide my specialization based on that, because specialization comes into play in the second year, right? That is the first thing. And this is the most used answer. And there is nothing wrong in this. Second is, you may say that I want to go into consulting because real time impact, you work on different projects, this and that. You want to go into the finance because you have done some internship, right? But as soon as you end up saying one of these fields, definitely good questions are expected from you. If you say I want to be consultant, then there will be questions related to the consulting domain. And if you are this clear, first is that the people who have mentioned in the chat that they are interested in the consulting domain or XYZ, there is no specialization named as consulting, right? The second part is, if you're so clear about the domain part, right, definitely they will ask you why consulting, why not anything else, and then they can ask questions. And let's go back to the first case. If you tell them that you are not clear, but still as an MBA candidate, when you are clear that you want to do an MBA, the basics of each of these field is expected, or I would say if you know basics, right, you will definitely end up getting some brownie points. For example, let's say you say that I am not clear about this field and that, but then they ask you to calculate the number of trees in Mumbai. This is a guesstimate. And now let's suppose you end up showing the correct approach to them, because in the guesstimates, your approach matters. And the reason, you have attended our classes, you are clear with the thought process, you've done some XYZ thing, right? So as a student, if you have done that kind of thing and mention that, sir, I just thought it with my logic, right? I just use my simple basic logic to reach at this point. They will be very happy, right? They will be very happy. There will be no discussion, upfront discussion of consulting or guesstimate, but they will be happy knowing that you have used this specific approach, right? Same goes with the marketing. If I ask you some famous marketing campaigns, and if you can answer that question, यार भूल जाओ ना what they are trying to assess. Just try to answer their questions in the most logical manner. That's it, right? So definitely you should have little or good knowledge about all these things. Then the most used statement. if I ask you what is your strength, sir, I believe my strengths lie in analytical thinking. I'm a logical kind of person. I make logical decision. I'm a creative kind of person, right? So, irrespective of you saying these statements or not, again, they can give you a case to solve. Case is basically a problem statement which you have to solve, right? Again, if I say you, if Pepsodent wants to increase their revenue by a marketing campaign, you all will answer some things, right? Right. But as a mentor, as a professor, I can clearly segregate students in two parts. The one who answers the same question with the help of some logic, with the help of some approach, and that will be clearly visible in your answer, in your verbal answer only. You don't have to present something on paper, right? And the other set of students I can clearly segregate based on their randomness or based on their hearsay or based on their general knowledge, right? It will sound like me. It will sound to me like a 10th class student is answering this problem statement, right? Second is solving the puzzles, right? So this is now not limited to IIM Calcutta, right? This has been there around every college, right? So we will solve a lot of puzzles. We will solve a lot of guesstimates. We will have specific sessions for that, right? And then questions can be weird as well, right? So this has also been seen in a lot of interviews, right? The panel asks you to propose them, right? To propose the lady professor, right? And then there can be weird questions. Ki, give us two reasons to reject you, right? So we have to carefully think what to say, what not to say, right? We cannot be very honest in the interviews, right? You cannot simply say कि सर मुझे तो ना मैथ्स में कुछ भी नहीं आता, so you can reject me based on that. मतलब even if you ask me how to do 2 into 5, I don't even know that. It's okay, but please keep it to yourself. If you want to clear the admission process, the interview process, give them diplomatic reasons, right? Give them diplomatic reasons to reject you, right? And again, these kind of questions, right, they are not deal breaker or deal maker, right? They are just there to they are just there to test you how you think or how you answer, right? You are now in a interview room where professionals are sitting, so you have to be very clever, right? Honesty is the best policy, but not always. No, puzzles is not equal to you solving a Sudoku. Keshav, it is not like that. Puzzle is completely different. Matlab, it can be anything, right? So it is more like a riddles, right? So some things like that. Okay. So we have gone through enough number of slides, and now a lot of you have this question, sir. This is too much material, right? You are providing too much material. I don't think I will be able to answer, I will be able to cover all this stuff. First is that we are making you prepared for the best of the best calls, right? So if you have gone through the material, if you have appeared for the interviews, mock interviews, you are ready for each and every question, you are ready for each and every call, right? Even if you have just called from an NMIMS, right? But definitely you are prepared for IIM Ahmedabad interview as well, right? And why I'm presenting all this thing, because at this point of time we have a lot of time. Even if you start your preparation by 15th of January, still I would say you have decent time. You don't have enough time to waste on YouTube videos or Instagram reels, but you have decent time to prepare for your best call. And whenever you are starting your preparation, that is the best day, that is the best time, right? Because now you have to focus on the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, right? So as soon as you enroll or as soon as you prepare or start preparing, begin with the HR questions and general knowledge. After 7 to 10 days, get your HR answers reviewed. Start also participating in the GDs, right? And use VAT writing as a productive activity whenever you feel bored, right? Whenever you feel you have 10 minutes, write VAT on something. Get it reviewed by AI board, which we have developed, or by the mentor, and start taking mock PIs as early as possible. Let me tell you very honestly, right? When I was preparing for the first time, right? Uh, Even when you start thinking about the mock PI after 2 months of preparation, right? It would still haunt you, right? It would 2 months of preparation would not encourage you. The moment you start thinking about mock PI, right, you will have different kind of fear. But the only way to get rid of that fear is by appearing for the mock interviews, right? That's it. Nobody is there going to judge you. And if some mentor start judging you, then also that's not your problem, right? Because he will not be the person who is going to decide your future, or he will not be the person who is going to decide your admission offer, right? And practice mock PIs with different kind of people, right? But start early, right? Mock PIs give you a reality check where you stand. In the first two mock PIs, you may feel that you don't know anything, but that also gives you an opportunity to read more, to prepare more, right? And from the third mock PI, right, you will start getting the hold of things. I think 4 to 5 mock PIs, 6 mock PIs, good enough to to turn you into a let's say matured person, matured student, right? So again, importance of mock interviews. Everyone carries fear, right? So if you feel that there are some people जिनका profile बहुत अच्छा है, right? They have done enough in their life. Believe me, everyone fears mock PIs, but early exposure helps to an extent to reduce that fear, and it quickly makes you realize where you are underprepared. Far better to make mistakes in practice than in front of the panel, right? This is because you have to understand that, yeah, you have one call, you have some of you might have two calls, some of you might have 100 calls, right? But the point is, it is better to make mistakes in practice than in front of the panel, right? When to take the first mock PI? See, first get your HR answers reviewed, right? Okay. Once your HR answers are reviewed, right, work on that, refine it, right? Then meanwhile, start preparing for all the things that we mentioned: UG, current affairs, static GK. And let's say once you enroll, after 15 days or after 20 days, you can have your first mock PI. Or the other way around is, whenever you feel you want to have mock PI, just have it. These experiences push you to get serious about your preparation, right? Till the time you are not appearing for mock PI, you may feel very happy that you are preparing, you are enrolled in best course, this, that. But once you appear for mock PIs, you will get more serious because you now know that I am still underprepared, right? And after 2 to 3 mock PIs, everything will become better. Always inform this. This is for the course students, that inform your interviewers about how many PIs have you already taken and your first interview date, the actual interview date, so that uh, they can plan the entire mock according to that, right? So let's say if this is going to be your first mock, then uh, I will be little ha I will be compassionate to you, right? I will not turn that mock into a stress mock. And ensure you experience at least one stress interview during your preparation. Simple logic is, better to get it before your final interview, right? Or better to get humiliated by some XYZ person than by the panel. Because if panel starts going in that direction, then you will lose your best call. Then you will lose your admission offer, right? Uh, just one thing I want to highlight towards the end, that believe me, you are at the perfect place, right? We have 50 plus, 60 plus mentors on a daily basis. We are onboarding stellar profiles. For I think this is one of the institute who has 50 plus mentors, 60 plus mentors, and all the mentors are published on the website, right? Maybe 5 or 10 mentors are not there because we are not really updating the websites regularly just because of mentors, but we have released the complete list of mentors with the profile, with the graduation, XYZ things, right? We have mentors from all the colleges, all the companies as well, right? And we will have session on each and everything. Almost all the sessions are well planned, and this is going to be my first session or maybe the second last session, right? After that, you will meet me in the SOP review or in the mock PIs. All the live sessions, batch sessions are planned by the people who are more relevant to that topic, right? So if someone is taking session on communication, he or she should have strong credential about that. If someone is taking, so let me just give you one example, right? We have a session on finance. The person who is taking finance session, he is CFA L2 and he is FRM Part 1, right? He has done these two certifications. Who is the one who is taking consulting session? He is the person who is from IIM Ahmedabad, who has worked in McKinsey as well as Bain, right? So these are the kind of profiles that we are bringing for the live sessions. And every mentor is accessible. We are not fixing you with any one mentor. Then we have material on everything. That is, I think you will find easily on social media as well. And all kind of special requests are entertained, right? So if you say, sir, I want session on this, I want this, I want that. I think 99% of the request, if you ask me or if you put in front of me, I will accept that, right? And I will be the kind of person, because all the persons who are there in the course, right? They are mentors, right? They may be entering in this kind of thing for the first time, or this kind of thing might be just a simple project for them, but this is very big thing for me. So I will be the main POC for all the things. Let's say if you are not feeling good, just call me, right? If you want to have 5 minutes of quick chat, call me, right? If I can give if I can give enough time to YouTube, to Instagram, to non-enrolled students, I will definitely give you 100x more time, right? And I think those who come from a background where they have been already in touch with me through one of the courses, you know, right, how valuable the courses, or how much time do I give to the students, right? And one thing I want to highlight, that you are not alone, right? If you feel that your communication is bad, if you feel that 100 others are better than you, or if you feel that you are the worst but still you got the call, believe me, you are not the alone. Everyone is feeling or having the same kind of feeling, right? It is fine if your English is not that strong. Continue working on improving that, but prioritize clarity of thought, right? So just go to this UPSC toppers interview, mock PI. Just go to the YouTube UPSC toppers mock PI, and you will be amazed to see how softly they speak, how clearly they speak, how simply they speak, and how effective their communication is. They will use simple words, their tone is very soft, and you or even a class 10 student will understand whatever they are trying to say. So, this is the kind of clarity you should bring to yourself. I know who speaks English as fast as Eminem, right? Or who speaks English maybe better than US citizens. Does not matter. What I want from oral communication is your clarity of thoughts. Your thoughts I want to understand, right? I will judge you if you start speaking in Telugu or Marathi. But as long as you are making some mistakes, but your idea is clear, I will still prefer your ideas. And believe me, you are the people who do not belong to IIM cohort right now, right? But you will, once you get into the college, you will feel professors are very chill. They are the most humble guys out there. They are funny. They are trying to understand things from the Gen Z perspective. They invite you to their apartments for dinner, for parties. They do all the things, or they want to do all the things. They party with you. They are normal human beings, the most humble ones. But intentionally, they try to be very different in the mock interviews, just because. So, see, there will be some. So, for example, when I entered into IIM Ahmedabad interview hall, where you have to wait for your turn, there were two, three professors with big beard, right? And some had different kind of persona, some other had different kind of personality. It felt very weird to me, right? But I was very sure that they will be the normal human beings. And if they are trying to be smart with me, if they are trying to put pressure on me, I know already in advance that it is their right, it is their choice to do whatever they want to. But I will not lose my control. And recently you saw this thing in DILR of cat, right? So this kind of thing happens. But if you take a control of that situation, Even if you are able to deliver just 10% of you, 20% of you, not 100%, maybe just like normalization happens in DLR, the things, the score versus percentile dips down. Maybe the other, the panel might think otherwise. The panel might think यार कि बंदा solid है, बंदा थोड़ा घबराया, but बंदा had clarity of thoughts. The student had clarity of thoughts, right? He or she felt nervous at times, but definitely the clarity, the idea that the person presented is appreciated. And IIM professors are not looking for English expert. IIM professors are not looking for a communication teacher, right? They are looking for a good profile with a good clarity of thought, with a good communication, right? So they are looking for all these things, right? The second point, if I have a low score, right? If you are going for an interview with bad academics or with bad CAT percentile and MET percentile or whatever percentile, if you are going, there will be 100 other people, maybe worse than you, which are stepping in, right? The proportion of you or your kind of community as a percentage of total community might be very low, but still some of you will be selected, and some people with high percentile will be rejected, right? So if college has invited you, if college is ready to give time to you, then that means your score is no longer a reflection of your personality. Now they will test you something on something else, right? Then the third point is impact matters, right? So overall impact definitely matters a lot. For example, at the end of the session, you all will have different feeling about this course, about this session, about me. But will you judge me just based on one statement? Will you judge me based on one template? Will you just will you judge me based on, let's say, one mistake or one very good exceptional thing that I presented? No, right? I'm a stranger to you. You are strangers to me. But definitely at the end of the session, I will have some views about Keshav, about Chirag, about this, about that. And those views come from the overall discussion. And this same is applied to the interview part as well. So few answers here and there, few wrong answers, some moments of nervousness in the interview do not define you. And please leave everything, every judgment on someone else. Why? Because in the GDPI phase, if you start assessing yourself, if you start judging yourself, you will never appreciate yourself. You will always find 100 flaws, 100 mistakes that you are doing at this point. After you improve upon that, you will find 100 other mistakes. You will always compare yourself. You will always feel that panel will not select you. You will always feel that panel already knows that I am this kind of person, I am this, I am that. And that's why I have 100 flaws. I am not made for IIMs. But please get yourself reviewed by mentors, by third person, right? So never ever start judging yourself in the negative way. Just focus on your prep. The more you prep, the more interviews, the more review sessions you take, the better you will become as a IIM aspirant or as a student, right? And do not stress, right? I'm pretty sure the material will keep coming to you, but believe me, that is because you are preparing, or we are making you prepared for the best college, best convert, right? And if there is too much material, be smart in prioritizing what truly matters. Otherwise, I will also be there 24 into 7. So you don't have to worry about that, right? So smart approach, right? First thing, know your college well, right? Know top things. Top things, what do I mean by this? Let's say if something happens to you, something happens to India, something happens to your city. So there are 2, 3 levels of everything. Level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 is the top layer. Level 2 is little deeper. Level 3 is the core part, where every minute details will matter, right? So smart approach is, first is know your college well. right? So college may be the college that you are applying for, right? So 1 or 2 days before your final interview, go through their website and read some of the good things, right? And top things about almost all the things that you are going through on a daily basis. Do regular practice. This is the smart approach, right? Regular practice comes under the smart approach. Not a lot of students will have this, just because, see, if you come in my batch, if you have regular session with the mentors, right, my respect for you will significantly improve, right? But if you have I am Ahmedabad call or I am Amritsar call, but you are not regular in things, that means you are already losing half of the battle, because the competition is tough. 1:7, right? And as a student, you can definitely count on hundreds of flaws that you have, on which you have to improve. So you have to be regular, you have to be consistent, and don't go anywhere else, right? What do I mean by this? If you have taken course, just stick to this course. Just increasing your horizon, collecting more material, not works. Did not work in CAT, will not work here. Just stick to the material, stick to limited things, and go through everything, right? Thank you. If you have any doubts, go to website, DM me or WhatsApp, right? I will try to clear all of your doubts. And if you have some last minute doubts, you can just type in the chat box, right? And I really hope that you like this session, right? And definitely you must have found something uh, good in this session, which will definitely help you to be better at your GDPI prep, right? Just let me know in the chat box if you have any doubts in general or related to the course or whatever. Okay, let me end the recording.